We'll give YouTube a moment. I am Drew Badger, the founder of EnglishAnyone.com, and welcome to another live video here on YouTube. We're going to be talking about speaking pace today, how to speak faster, more fluently. I got a question about this and I thought I would just make a whole video about it. It's really not that complicated of an idea, but if you can follow this simple strategy, you will speak more fluently, more confidently, speak faster without having to think and translate or hesitate in your head. So we'll give, let's see, make sure live is working over here. If you can see this. Oh, George is there. All right, looks like we are working now. All right. So we're going to get right into it. Garizono I am fine, yo. Yogatta desu yo. Yes, it's now becoming springtime over here in Japan, and it's quite rainy today, but I made it to my recording place fine without getting wet, which was great. Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is speaking pace. As I mentioned, and I really want to help people, especially if you feel stuck when you speak and it's difficult for you to express your ideas quickly, especially correctly, but you really want to be able to speak faster. You can see in these videos I speak actually at a slower pace than I would normally speak when I'm talking with natives, because I really want to make sure people can understand me, so I'm speaking slower, clearer, and making sure people can really understand that. Said says, tell us more about your program. I'll explain more about that in a little bit, but first, very quickly, let me talk about what we're going to talk about today. So I thought this would be interesting. I've used this book before in videos, but I wanted to use it in a different way. This is The Cat in the Hat. It's a very popular book for young kids, and it proves a very interesting point. So something I discovered when I was reading this book many years ago as a child is that there are different ways of understanding the same vocabulary, or even different uses of understanding the same vocabulary. So the story behind this book, I've mentioned this before, the story behind it is the author, Dr. Seuss, was asked to write a story for kids that was a bit more interesting than the typical kind of books available at the time. So this is a pretty old one. I don't know, maybe, I think it's like 50 years old or something like that. I forget when it was made, like back in the 60s, I guess. So even older than that. But the way the publisher, the people who wanted him to write this book, they said, we have a specific set of vocabulary, about 200 words that we'd like you to use, and he used only 236 in the whole book. So this book, it's actually got, I think, like 1,000 words or something. I forget exactly how many words are in this book, but there are only 236 words that are used again and again, and many of them are used in different ways. And so this book actually, it demonstrates a really great point that you don't need to have a large vocabulary to speak fluently. Obviously, you need to know some words if you want to speak. If you don't know any English at all, then you can't speak. But typically, the people watching my videos, they already know a lot of English, but they still struggle to express themselves. So typically, the reason is not because you don't know enough vocabulary, it's because you don't know that vocabulary very well. So before we get into some examples from the book, I wanted to tell another quick story from yesterday. This was my older daughter, Aria. I was sitting and watching some, it was a baseball game, so a Japanese, like a Japanese baseball high school game, I think. And in that game, the screen was showing the highlights of the game. So I was saying, oh, look, Aria, they're showing the highlights of the game right now. And she said, what's a highlight? So a highlight, just write this up here for you, highlight. So a highlight of something, I want to make something more important. I want to show you, hey, look at this thing. This is the most important thing. So if you think about a game of baseball, some of you probably don't know or don't maybe pay attention to baseball, don't care about baseball, but a typical game, a usual game, can last maybe 2 to 3 hours. And so you might have like a really long game that's 2-3 hours, but some exciting moments only happen a few times in the game. So there's a big hit or something else that happens. So these are the exciting moments, and instead of watching the whole game, people just want to see those exciting moments. So this is the highlight or a highlight, something like that, of a game. So I was explaining to Aria, look, you've got the highlights of the game, but you could also have the highlight of your day. So what was the highlight of your day today? What was something amazing that you enjoyed? And she said, oh, well, I enjoyed watching a movie with you. So yesterday we watched the movie The Never-Ending Story. If you've not watched that, I recommend this as well. It's a really nice movie based on the book. But also, it was just the highlight of her day. So Aria did a few different things in her day, and that was the highlight. So that was, one of the highlights or the highlight. You can talk about that. So in the same way, we might have a book with some text written in it. So you've got some words like this, maybe some pictures or something. And I take like a different colored marker or something, and I color over those lines that are most important. I am highlighting that text, and those markers are often called highlighters. All right? Now, what I've given you just at the beginning of this example or the beginning of this video is an example of how, instead of trying to teach you more words, I really want to help you understand the word, because this is a very important principle that a lot of learners forget, or maybe they just never learned it or they don't really realize it. But it's much easier to become fluent in vocabulary you already know because you already have a connection with it. So if you can imagine, I try to help you understand a word you already know, but help you understand it better. I can unlock more fluency much faster than if I were to teach you a completely new word. So that would take more time. I would have to build more connections with that thing to help you understand it. It's possible to do. So instead of trying to learn new vocabulary, we really want to understand the vocabulary we already know, because it's just much easier. There's a similar principle or idea in business where it's easier to sell things to customers you already have rather than try to sell things to new customers. So you can imagine, like me, even trying to help people learn English, somebody who's been watching my channel for a long time, they already know me, they understand what I do, they have already been helped by my videos, maybe they've learned some more, they feel more confident. That person is much more likely to purchase a program from me. And the people who have my programs also purchase more of them because they've seen that they already help. But a new person who finds my channel, they are less likely to purchase something from me because they don't know who I am, they don't know how I can help them. So the same kind of thing. So it's much easier to use the vocabulary you already know. You can unlock fluency much faster that way. Does that make sense? Hopefully this is important. Well, it is important, but hopefully you understand it because a lot of people, you naturally want to learn more vocabulary. So you focus on trying to learn more, but often people keep looking for new things because they think they need more vocabulary, when the truth is they don't really know the vocabulary they already know very well. So if you know a lot of words, but you're not yet fluent in what you already know, here's a different strategy than just trying to learn more. Okay? So with those two examples out of the way, let's get into the cat in the hat. Actually, before we do that, though, let me check, make sure comments are working. I'm not trying to ignore people, but I want to make sure I get through this. MBO, nice to see you there. Mosine, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hello, Lux, nice to see you there. Schlivenson, nice to see you from Haiti. Yordi, good morning, Syed. Tell us about your program. I'll come back to that in a minute. Remind me about that if you'd like to hear more about Fluent for Life or Frederick or Native Fluency Blueprint or anything else. Let's see, Vincent says, hi, Drew from South Africa. Yes, Guru, I'm facing the same problem. Guadalupe says, hello from California. Julia, nice to see you there. Let's see, how am I doing, teacher? I'm doing well. Let's see, Lux says, what is the meaning of typical? It's like usual or average or, just like I used it actually in a couple different instances in this video. But typically I wake up at 8 o'clock. So most of the time, usually I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I wake up at 5 o'clock. So that's an unusual day. But typically, what I usually do, so these are just different ways of expressing the same thing. Way Fun says, hi, Drew. Good morning. Nice to see you there. Weston says, hello, Drew. What's validation meaning based? I asked maybe ChatGPT, but couldn't catch it. Validation? To validate something just means to see if it's correct. You're basically checking something. So maybe I might believe a certain idea. Like, let's say I believe if I clap my hands like this, I can create rain. So that's a belief I have. I can clap my hands and make rain. So I can validate this idea, so basically checking to see if it's correct or not by going outside and clapping my hands. If I clap my hands and there's no rain, then I've invalidated that idea. Okay, so you're basically checking something when you validate that thing. So that's one way of thinking about it. But again, instead of trying to think about getting a definition for a word, you're really looking for multiple examples and seeing how those are used in different situations. That's actually what we'll look at in today's video, but that's the basic idea. Let's see, Vincent says, wow, you make us to discover our aha moment by giving us naturally varied review. Always gain confidence learning from you. Glad to hear it. So that's the idea. If I can help you understand things better and feel more confident about using them, you will speak better. So usually what happens with typical, again, I'm using that word typical, the usual learning process, people might do lots of things, like you might study for a long time, you might try to read a book or watch a movie or something like that. But the goal of all of those things is to reach that point at the end where you actually understand something without a doubt. So maybe you're studying something for a long time and you just don't really get it very well, but finally you get an example that helps you, understand that and feel confident about using it. So the goal, what I'm trying to do here, instead of taking all this time here, we really want to give you this aha moment as quickly as possible, because if you can get that without doing all this, you can get fluent much faster. Okay, so that's the idea. But an aha moment, if you don't know, this is like a realization. I just released a video yesterday that was a quick English fluency quiz. If you have not seen that, it will teach you a little bit more, but also demonstrate the power of aha moments. But I'm glad they are helping you. Let's see, Rolla says, nice to see you. And Jay from Brazil says, so I watched a lecture from Stephen Crash and Noam Chomsky together, and they said that language acquisition is so simple, but teachers make it hard. Yes, exactly. So again, the same idea of there's lots of things that you could do to learn a language. So you could spend lots of time studying, you could try to speak with other people, you could do, all the things that people try to do to get fluent. But the thing that actually helps you is that moment where you understand something better. And you might have many of those moments as you learn, but typically, usually, the lessons that people have are not helping them understand. In fact, they're actually making it more difficult for people to understand things. And that's why, like Krashen is talking about, he calls that the greatest secret or the best kept secret in the language teaching profession. And that is that people just need to understand things better in order to speak. So speaking actually is the result of understanding things better. You could try to speak. It's like another thing you can do. Many people try to learn something and they don't really feel very confident about it, but they try to speak anyway. They try to repeat more, but then they still don't become more confident speakers because, again, it's the aha moment. It's that feeling where you really feel confident and certain about your language. So if you want to learn more about Krashen, I recommend you do, but that's the basic idea. Let's see, and Seba Schumer, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Hey, good to see you. Thanks for all you do. It's my pleasure. My great teacher and the Korean that I can't read. Tell me your name if you want me to read your name. But yeah, I often see some languages like Arabic or Cyrillic or something, and I can't read it. Edvaldo says, good morning from Brazil. Alessandro, good evening. I noticed you always use the word hopefully instead of I hope that. It's interesting that. I started to use the same way you use. Yes, I don't have to use it that way. I try to mix up the way I use the language so people can get examples, and you'll see often I will say something and maybe reiterate that, or I will repeat that, but in a slightly different way. So today I was feeling good. I was feeling pretty good. I was feeling strong. I was feeling excited. I might give a few different kind of ways of expressing something so you get those. But yes, if you pay more attention to how natives like me are speaking, then you will start speaking more like a native. MBO says, does listening to English news help for fluency? Again, like I could put that on one of these lines over here, listening to English news. You will probably listen to a lot. So even me listening to Japanese news, I will listen a lot and maybe get one or two aha moments where I understand something better that I didn't already know. And I'll feel like, oh, like actually I understand that. But often I will get some examples of things like vocabulary that I just don't know, and the explanation will be too difficult for me. So the news can often be frustrating for me, even if I'm interested in knowing more about the news, about what's going on in the world. So part of the problem is if you're learning things like watching a movie or reading a book or watching the news or listening, whatever, if you don't understand most of that and it's harder to get, more aha moments from that information, it will be more difficult for you to get fluent. So it doesn't matter what you pick, but the point is you really want to choose things that actually help you get fluent faster by giving you these aha moments, okay? It's the understanding where you feel, now I got it. Just like the example of highlight where I was teaching my daughter at the beginning of our conversation, she didn't know what the word highlight was. But by the end of our quick conversation, so this is just, 2 or 3 minutes talking with her, like I gave you the example here, now she understands the word highlight and she feels confident about using it. She had that aha moment, okay? So it's not about repeating the word again and again. The point is to understand things much better. And so what a lot of people do is they focus on trying to learn new vocabulary when the things they don't know, like they already have a lot of vocabulary that they can't use fluently. Let's see, Vong says, good morning, teacher. Kazim says, how could I learn English and get knowledge in the same time? Well, what you're doing right now. Karim says, you're a great teacher. I'm Kareem from Egypt. Blanca says, thank you. And Ohio, look at that, Tsubasa with the dap there. Nice to see you again. All right, let's get back to the cat in the hat. So I wanted to give some very simple examples from this. Again, this is a book for children, but I recommend you read it if you have not read it already because it has different uses of the same basic words. There are only 236 words used in this book. So the whole book, all of the pages there are, I don't know, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 words or however many words are actually like on the pages, but there are only 236 words. And again, this book is loved by millions of children and adults. It's a good story, and it proves that you don't need a big vocabulary to speak fluently or to tell a good story. The point is you really need to know that information well. People who know how to use tools well can do amazing things with them. It's like seeing a person who has lots of, you go into somebody's tool shed or their garage and they've got all these beautiful tools hanging up, but they don't really know how to build anything. But you can take someone else who has some very simple tools and they can make some incredible things with them, okay? So let's look at some examples. I'll erase the board right quick. We'll get started. All right, so we're going to look at 3 examples, 3 words, very simple words that you probably know already, but I just want to make the point that, again, the idea is not simply to know the vocabulary, it's to know it without a doubt, to get those aha moments where you feel more confident about using it. So I'm not going to read the whole story. I'm just going to look at some basic examples of this. So the first one is the word all. Let me put this up here just to make sure everybody knows. So pretty simple word. Again, people probably know this word. This is not new information for you, but hopefully I just really, again, want to prove the point that it's not about knowing the vocabulary. You want to know the vocabulary well, without a doubt, like a native, like it's your first language, so you can use it confidently and fluently. We don't want you to just have a translation of the word or a basic definition of the word. I want you to really feel confident that you can use words, and that's when you speak. Okay? So let's take a look. We're going to read just this paragraph over here. I'll hold that a little bit closer for you. So, too wet to go out and too cold to play ball, so we sat in the house and did nothing at all. Nothing at all. We did nothing at all. That's interesting. They did nothing at all. Make sure I've got the right page over here. I should have another. Let's see. Where is that other? I thought I had. Let's see. Where did that? Oh, here it is. Yes, I was correct. Sorry, I thought I had the wrong place here. So understanding, if you don't know the story of the cat in the hat, the basic idea is you have two kids. They are sitting inside on a rainy day, actually just like this rainy day that we have here in Japan right now, in Nagasaki. And so they're looking outside and there's nothing to do. They're kind of bored. And that's when this cat in a hat, he comes into their house and starts, trying to create not like trouble, but trying to have some fun and do some interesting things. So again, I recommend you read the book if you have not read it already. But the point here, I'll read this one section again. So too wet to go out. So it's too wet outside. Too wet to go out and too cold to play ball. So like maybe going outside playing some baseball or something like that. So we sat in the house. We did nothing at all. We did nothing at all. So here we have nothing at all. So nothing at all. Now a basic definition of all is like everything. But here we're using it, it's like nothing. That's interesting. We've got one meaning of everything and one meaning of kind of nothing at all. That's interesting. And so when you're reading this, especially as a child, or you hear this, even native speakers, they are developing fluency in the same way by getting these aha moments as they hear different vocabulary used in new ways. So you might hear a word like all of the people in this room are purple. So if I draw a picture of a bunch of people in a room and they all are purple, all of the people in this room are purple. All three of these are new markers. So all of them, not just this one or this one or this one, but all three of them are new. So I just got these brand new markers. I can use them well. They write very well because all of them are new. So that's a basic meaning of all. But here we have nothing at all. That's interesting. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. So this meaning of all is now it's more like we're not just thinking about everything, but we're thinking about completely. Isn't that interesting? So all, you can think about like all of the people, like we're talking about completely, like everyone, all completely, everyone is there. But if we hear, like we add this, like this little phrase over here, it's kind of adding emphasis to that. If I say, yeah, I'm not doing anything, like I'm not doing anything today, or I'm doing nothing. So in the phrase from the book, so we did nothing at all. We did nothing at all. You don't need to have the at all on there. It's not necessary. The meaning is still clear, but it rhymes with playing ball. So this whole book is rhyming. We rhyme the word ball with the word all. So we did nothing. That's perfectly fine. You can say, like a friend of yours asks, oh, what did you do today? I say, oh, I did nothing. I didn't do anything. You can say both of those, like, I didn't do anything. NG, excuse me. I'll write this. We have kind of, is this a better marker? Well, better eraser. See, NG. So I didn't do anything. Or you can say I did nothing. Both of those are fine. But if we add the at all, it's really adding more emphasis, like I completely did absolutely nothing. Okay? All right. Someone said, here's a change the board. Well, the board, yeah, I guess the board needs to be cleaned up too, but the eraser is also quite old, so the eraser is probably the thing that needs to be changed. Anyway, so adding the at all is like completely, like we really didn't do anything. So if I say, yeah, I did nothing today, maybe I actually did some things. Like I know I ate breakfast and I read a book or something like that, but it's just meaning I'm not doing anything interesting. But here it's like we did nothing at all, like at all completely, you know. So they're just sitting there in these little chairs and they're looking out the window because they have nothing to do. Now, here's another example of the same word. So we've got we did nothing at all, and now here we have so all we could do was to sit, 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 sit. All we could do. So all we could do. So all we could do. Now here, this becomes only. Isn't that interesting? So it's like the only thing we could do, like we're talking about completely again, but it's a slightly different meaning, okay? So all, we go from everything to completely or adding some kind of emphasis, and then we have like all we could do, like the only thing I could do was sit there. So all we could do, that's the whole thing. That's the whole idea, okay? But again, I really want to make it clear this is one simple word that people often use. You probably know this already, and maybe you know all of these uses of the word. If you do, fantastic. But the more important point here is to think about all of the vocabulary you have like that. If you're not using things confidently and fluently, you probably just don't know them well enough. You haven't had those aha moments that really make you feel confident and fluent about using the vocabulary, okay? But again, the point is, it's not like there's one definition of a word. There are ways that words are used in context, and that's how you should learn them, okay? So we don't want to just say, hey, what does all mean? Because it depends. It depends on when you would use it. But here we have a couple of different examples of how that works. Okay, so pretty simple. Let me see here. Go back, make sure people don't have any questions about, let's see. Hassan said, I remember the example, kore marker, sore marker, why I understand it without translation or repetition. It's amazing. Yes, the reason you understood that, I was giving an example of Japanese. Kore wa marker, sore, kore, sore. So I'm teaching you the same way you would learn a native language, the same way a child would learn it, but what I'm really doing is just giving you aha moments. So I'm using your brain's natural understanding of like the place of something to teach you the language. So you're able to make a connection with Japanese, all in Japanese, and you would remember it and be able to use it confidently and fluently. You might need a few examples, but generally when you get those aha moments, that it really makes a connection strong. You can feel it happening in your brain as you learn, and that's what gets you fluent much faster. So instead of studying a lot, I don't want to teach you Japanese through English or through your native language. I really want to help you understand it all in Japanese, and that's the same reason that I don't even though I live in Japan, I don't make content specifically for Japanese learners in Japanese because it would actually stop them from speaking fluently, all right? It's very difficult to learn a language through another language and really understand things without a doubt, all right? But if I can teach you well, I can help you understand things all in English, and then you will speak more confidently. Mabel says, I learned to listen and understand English with you. I'm so grateful. I found you in 2015. Wow, so it was 10 years ago. And you made a difference. I'm from Uruguay. Well, glad to hear it. It's my pleasure to help. If you know other people who would enjoy learning this way, do share the channel and click that like button. Will says, we did something at all would be something like in general in the case. So we did something, well, typically we didn't, like you can see how this is adding emphasis here. Like we did nothing. Like we did nothing at all, like not at all, like nothing, like completely nothing. So we wouldn't say like we did something at all because it's not like adding emphasis to something because something is not, it's not like an exaggeration or a really big thing or a really small thing or something like that. If I just said like, yeah, I had a good day at work, there's nothing special about that. I wouldn't say I had a good day at all. Like, it's only when I'm talking about, like, typically a negative thing, like I had a really bad day, like my day was not good. My day was not good at all, like completely, not at all, okay? So often native speakers will add at all just to put that emphasis on there to make it sound, oh, completely, seriously, really, I had an actual bad day, so a very bad day. My day was not good. My day was not good at all. All right. So we don't really use this in a positive way, like my day was really good at all. Like it sounds a little bit kind of odd in that way. So it's typically usually used in a negative way like that. So if like maybe you don't understand something, like I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand at all, like completely. I don't understand like what you're saying. It's like maybe you like if I don't understand something, maybe I understand a little bit, but if I don't understand at all, then I definitely don't understand completely. I'm not understanding anything you're saying. I don't understand. All right, Alessandro says, can we use all and everything interchangeably? It depends on the situation. Again, we don't want to try to look at the vocabulary by itself. We want to look at the vocabulary in situations and figure out when it might be useful to use one or the other. So let's say we have a situation like, is everyone here? So I'm going on a hike with a group of people and 10 people are supposed to be with me. And I say like, is everyone here? I'm just making sure like all of the people are there. So yeah, I could use both all and everyone in this situation, but grammatically in that same sentence, I wouldn't say is all here. I could say like are, like all of the people here. So I could use them similarly, but I wouldn't use them in exactly the same way. Typically they're structured a little bit differently, but it's better to get some examples of that like I'm doing rather than just try to look at when we might use this word rather than that word, just like in a vacuum. So in a vacuum meaning like we don't have actual specific examples that really help you understand it. So again, try not to just think about the word all like it's floating around in space. It's more like all has a meaning in particular situations, okay? So the word is here, but the meaning is unlocked or released or opened or used in a particular situation. Okay? So we could have all, like we did nothing at all, or all of us went to the party. Everyone went to the party. All right? Or the whole situation is all messed up. It's completely messed up. Okay? All right. Let's see if we have any more, and let's see here. All right, Alan says, nice to see you again. Drew, hi Drew, I learned vocabulary by memory, root, and prefix. I can probably recite 2,000 words, although I can't blurt out, I know, aha moment, what the best way to me next. Well, again, like based on your vocabulary, your writing there, this is a perfect example of someone who knows a lot of vocabulary but doesn't know that very well. So again, it's like having a lot of tools in your closet or in your garage, but you don't know how to use them very well. So instead of just trying to memorize a lot of words, that's not really going to help you speak. That might help you for a test when you just need to repeat certain things, but it's not going to help you speak better. So we really want to make sure you understand things like a native and without a doubt. That's what's going to let you speak. Lucas says, can I say, have you done something at all? Here we would say, have you done anything at all? So let's say I go to my house and I told my daughter, hey, please clean up your room before I come back. And I come back home and like she didn't clean anything. She's been sitting and watching television or something, and I say, hey, like, have you done nothing at all? Have you done nothing at all? Like nothing at all? Like if I said like, did you do something at all? Again, that idea of something is kind of like a middle area. Like we've got like everything up here and nothing down here. In the middle, we don't really use at all because the whole point of at all in this way is to say there's like a strong emphasis like you really did something. All right? So like everything was good or everything was bad in that way. So I'm asking my daughter, hey, did you do nothing while I was gone? Did you do nothing at all? So I'm really adding that emphasis there. Did you do nothing at all while I was gone? Okay, so something would be here in the middle where it's not really like a really good thing or a really bad thing or whatever. It's just, yeah, I did something today. Something at all, like that sounds a little bit weird because it's just like it's like saying I have an extra medium shirt. Like, what does that mean? What's an extra medium shirt? Like, you can have extra large or extra small because those are on the ends up here, but I wouldn't have an extra medium. That's kind of like just like a funny joke. Like, I've got it's an extra medium shirt. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. Again, the point is we're looking for something where we're really trying to emphasize something, like you did it completely bad, or my day was bad, or you didn't do anything at all, something like that, and it's typically used in a negative way. Hassan says, sir, when will be ready for grammar after achieving the aha moments? Well, the point is, aha moments happen for everything. So it's not like they're only vocabulary, like aha moments, because vocabulary is grammar and pronunciation and everything else at the same time. So if I'm saying a word right now, you hear my pronunciation. It's not, you can't really learn pronunciation and vocabulary disconnected from each other, because I have to say a word for you to hear it. You could write a word and that way you're not hearing the pronunciation of it, but if I'm speaking, you get that pronunciation, and you're also hearing me use the word or the sentences or whatever I'm using. You can hear the grammar in those examples. Okay, so if I can help you understand grammar, a specific grammar point, or use things like this, like we're covering grammar and vocabulary and pronunciation all at the same time. So if you're paying attention, you should be getting aha moments about various things. All right, so it's not like you learn vocabulary first and then there's a grammar thing. It's all connected. Let's see here. And Professor says, I am from Basel, and your class is very important for my progress of learning. Thank you so much. Glad to hear it. Let's see here. And tossing and turning all the night because I forgot a lot of words. Thank you. Yes. So if you're learning a lot but you don't really understand or use the vocabulary, then there's a better way to do that. Okay. So that's what we're talking about in this video. Does anybody feel better? Just post a comment if you already feel better about using the word all. Just raise your hand or post a comment that just says like yes, or put a Y or something. Make it easy for yourself. But I want to know that even from this, that you feel better about even just using this word. Even if you already knew the word, hopefully you should feel better if you did not already know these other ones. Okay? All right, got a few yeses over there. Good to see people are understanding me. Remember, I am here to help you. So if you don't understand something, that's my fault, or we haven't given you enough examples, and that's how I can get you fluent with more examples. So just let me know. That would count as a phrasal verb. Are you talking about all? At all is not a phrasal verb, no. Professor, my name is Matthias, said salvi for me. I don't know what that's asking for. Hello, Drew. Yes, yes, George, yes. Okay, people are saying yes, for sure. Yes, glad to hear it. Okay, let's look at another example. All right, so we've covered all. I'll give you another word that you probably already know. And that's the point. Even if you think you know things, you can usually learn them better. And it's the people who actually take just a little bit of time. But was that boring? Hopefully that wasn't boring for you. Typically what's boring for people, like the reason people don't like reviewing is because they think they have to just repeat the same thing again and again. So a learner will typically get a translation or a definition of a word like all, and then just repeat that again and again. And the repetition is really boring because our minds are naturally interested in new things. We're always wondering, like we watch the news, news. We don't watch the olds, we want the news. We want to know the new thing that's happening. And so again, that's why it's really difficult for people to just repeat things. It's boring and it's not really teaching you any new information. But if you can get different ways, new examples of the same words in different ways, again, like I'm repeating myself here, but I really want to make it clear, like I've given you a few different uses of the word all, but trying to show you how they're connected so you feel more confident about using them, okay? The idea is not to give you a word like all, and then I give you a translation or a definition of the word. It's showing you how different uses of the word work so you feel more confident and fluent, okay? That's basically the idea. So you need to kind of trick your brain to getting that review, but you don't need to review by doing the boring thing. of just repeating vocabulary, which isn't really going to help you learn much more. You just need to get more examples that help you understand the words, okay? So again, going back to the cat in the hat. The cat in the hat example, the next word we'll look at is like. Very simple word. You probably know this word already, but again, the words that are really simple, they are used very frequently, often have multiple uses. So let's just look an example here. So the first one on the same page is, I'll just continue here. So all we could do was to sit, and we did not like it, not one little bit. So we did not like it. So pretty simple. We did not like it. Not one little bit. So pretty simple. People probably know this. Like, do you enjoy something or do you not enjoy something? In this case, we did not like that thing. Basic English. People probably know this very well, probably know it already, but let's look at another example of the word like in the same book. All right, so we're going to turn the page here. Where is our other like example? Oh, let me read this section here, this page. So then we looked, then we saw him step on the mat. We looked and we saw him, the cat in the hat. So here comes the cat in the hat walking in the door, and the kids look very surprised. And he said to us, "Why do you sit there like that?" Why do you sit there like that? Why do you sit there like that? Okay, so why do you sit there like that? And we did not like it. Now here, these are two different uses of the same word. So if I'm learning the language, if I'm trying to learn English by getting a definition or a translation from a different language, it's probably only going to teach me maybe one of these, but it's not going to help me learn both. Or the other uses of like that we might find for something like that. So we did not like it, and why do you sit there like that? Why do you sit there like that? So the first one is pretty easy. That's a pretty basic thing. Most children know that example. So English kids or English speaking kids, they would say like, I like pizza, or I like juice, or I don't like this, or I do like that. Very simple. So this one is making a kind of comparison or talking about something like in a particular way. So why do you sit there in that way? All right, like a person might look like something else. Like you look like you have a sad face. So you look confused. You look like you don't understand. So you're telling me you understand, but you look like you don't understand. So why are you doing it like that, in that way? So in that way, or in this way, or however, but why do you do it like that? Okay, so you can talk about a way of doing something or a way that a person might look. So I like to, I don't know, like I like to cook, so I can use both of those things. So I like to cook like I'm a professional chef. I like to cook like I'm a professional chef. So here we're using both of those examples in the same sentence. I like to do something, so I enjoy it in a way that, so in a similar way or kind of related to somebody like a personal chef or like a professional chef. So I like to use the finest ingredients and the best quality tools and materials to cook. So I like it, or I do it in that way. So she likes cooking like a professional chef, or I cook like a child. So I cook in that way, in the same way a child might cook, where like I actually don't cook very well. I just throw different things inside the pot and I don't really care so much. So I'm cooking like I don't care. So in a way that I don't care. All right. Hopefully this makes sense though. Is everybody getting this? Click that like, or there's again using that the like button over there. But let me know yes if this makes sense. Okay, so we did not like it, and we can even add like, we did not like it at all. We could even add that back over here. So I did not like that thing. I did not like it at all. I completely disliked that thing. I completely hated it. Okay, so we're bringing back the word all over here, adding that just for a little bit more emphasis. And why do you sit there in that way? Why do you sit there like that? So the cat in the hat is looking at these kids and he says, hey, like, why do you sit there like that? Why are you sitting there in that way? So he looks pretty happy. He's excited to be there, but the kids look a little bit kind of sad. So why do you sit there like that? Why do you sit there in that way, looking kind of bored or tired or sad? Why do you sit there like that? All right, is everybody getting it? The idea is not to take a word and learn a translation of it, because even if you do, it's still going to be incomplete. You will not be prepared for the other uses of words that natives will definitely be using. And again, we really want to make sure you feel very confident that you understand things so you can use words like a native without a doubt in multiple ways. Okay? So almost every word usually has some kind of variety like that, or there is a nuance or maybe some slang usage or something like that. You can even hear me using like as a filler word occasionally. I don't like doing that, but sometimes I speak like that. Okay? So, like, we've covered all. We'll cover one more from the book, but let me know if you like what I'm doing with this. So hopefully, like, if I can see the way you like these videos, that will tell me I'm doing a good job and I should continue doing more of it. I'll go back and check. Oh, no, look at all this. Go back and check chat in a moment. And we'll look at one more example. Okay, Rola's getting it. Let's see if I missed anything here. Let's see. All right, Tarek says, part 1, hello. My main problem has to do with those negative thoughts that crop up whenever I'm in the middle of a conversation, but not when I'm completely immersed in a conversation like teaching. Is there a second part to that? I don't know what that's referring to. But if you're talking about negative thoughts that crop up about whatever, like negative thoughts about what your ability to speak or something like that, or I don't know, be more specific, let me know. Abdo says, are we going to keep the lesson on your channel? Yes, I always save these for people. You can watch them later at your leisure, whenever you like. Hassan again, I heard that attitude plus how time you spent to acquire the language divide by the doubt, your fluency rating, how much this is correct. What? I don't know. Who told you that? Your attitude plus how much time you spent to acquire the language divided by the doubt? What? I mean, it sounds like it's like someone heard my lesson and made a kind of more complicated version of it. It's basically either you feel doubt about saying something or you do not. That's it. So it's very simple when you think about using a particular word or phrase or pronunciation, whatever. So if you're nervous, you're unsure, you're uncertain about saying something, you will probably not use it, or you will not use it confidently. So I might say a word in kind of a shy way instead of, presenting my thoughts and ideas in a confident way. So right now, if I'm teaching you something and I look like you can see in my body language, I'm a little bit shy. I'm kind of hiding in the corner of the video over here. You're going to believe what I say less because I look less confident. But if I stand up and I'm projecting myself and I can show you clear examples that are correct, then you will probably believe what I say and you will at least test it yourself and see how something works. But yes, so I don't know of like a particular formula other than do you know something without a doubt or not? If you don't have that aha moment about a particular thing yet, then you probably will not use it fluently. So again, it's a very, very simple thing. Let's see, we got another yes here. Natural, what is the best way to understand a quick conversation? It depends on what the conversation is about, but often people are getting, I don't know, like if you don't understand most of the conversation already, it's probably going to be more difficult, like the example I gave earlier about watching the news. So if you don't understand something at all, or you only understand it a little bit, it will be more difficult for you. So it really depends on the like what the content is. It doesn't really matter about the length of the conversation. So I would need more information. Love says, I've been learning English with the course Fluent for Life for 3 months now, but when I actually speak with my friend, those phrases and words don't come up from my mouth. What do I do now? Well, it depends on the particular situations and what you talk about. So what is the situation you might be using something in? There are lots of different subjects you might cover in the program. And so if you're talking about, like, if you have a certain conversation with a friend of yours that's like related to that, or you're able to use some of the vocabulary from that, like, let's say, I don't know, it's like the topic for that month is about love and relationships or something, but you're talking with your friend about cars. Now, you might not use all of that vocabulary talking about that, but you can probably use a lot of the more basic things that you might use across both of those topics. So it just depends on what you're talking about. But in general, if you're following the program, you should feel more confident about the vocabulary you're learning. And even if specific phrases aren't used, like, there are other things that you will notice a lot of progress over time as you're feeling more confident, you understand things better. So it depends on the situation. Some things will be like more applicable for a particular situation, other things will not. So if I learn a specific lesson about going to the barber shop, and then I go to a barber shop, I will find a lot of connection there. But if I learn that barbershop lesson and then go talk with a friend of mine about something completely different, then some vocabulary I might be able to use better, but other things not. So it just depends. But if your primary use of the language is talking with friends of yours, then think about the things that you talk about normally and focus on those lessons instead. And so you will notice more progress faster that way. Bridget says, I or once here, and then cheat safeful, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I found a website that's the perfect complement to your learning method. You enter a word or phrase in the search bar. Yeah, you're talking about Youglish. Yeah, so I recommend Youglish. That's another good way to get naturally varied review, where you're hearing a particular word or phrase, and then you can hear other people using that. So the only problem is it just takes a little bit of time to load. But if you enjoy getting different examples and you already know what the things mean, that's a great way to improve. So yeah, I recommend that. Got it, sir. Solomia, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I started using your approach on acquiring vocabulary, and it helped me so much on my learning journey, and it helped me with my confidence. Thank you so much. Glad to hear it. All right, pretty interesting. Mary says, hello, teacher. Rolla says, yes, love. Watching in the course and watching here live really makes me happy. And yes, your hairline didn't creep back all the way, so you still look good in this hairstyle. Yes, I can't, I can improve my use of language, but I can't do much about my hairline, unfortunately. Maybe I'll put on a hat at some point, but, I don't care. I keep telling my wife I want to shave it off, but she says, no, you got to keep it for longer. So we'll see. All right, Vincent says, I really like the way you teach. What specifically do you like? Is it because you understand the language better? I think that's usually what people are saying, but people don't typically express why exactly, but I think that's the sense that people have. Will says, I have a friend, non-native speaker, who uses a lot of like as a filler word. That really bothers me. Yeah, it happens. What's up, man? Glad to hear you. It says a CNC BMX. And Guillermo says ChatGPT can help that instead of use translations. Yes. So if you can work with ChatGPT and ChatGPT really is a tool. You have to get that to kind of rein it in, to control it, to make sure it's really doing what you want it to do. But it can be a very helpful tool. ASMR Rabi says, you are so nice. Very nice. So here, this is the thing, my wife makes this mistake, who is Japanese. I'm guessing maybe you are Japanese as well. But she will, you would say, you are so nice. Or you would say, you are such a nice, whatever. Such a nice person, such a nice teacher, or something like that. So nice, if you're kind of ending that there, both of these sentences are fine. But often, especially Japanese examples, I hear that like you are such nice, something like that. And again, like part of the reason Japanese people make this mistake, and it's not just Japanese people, but people learning like that, is because they learn so and such from a textbook that just gives them a definition or a translation from the Japanese. And so it's always better to get lots of examples. So, you are so nice. You are such a nice person, or something like that. All right, let's get through these last few comments here. And let's see here. Edwin says, hello from Colombia. Mary says, I have trouble starting a conversation. What advice can you give to me to improve my English? I'm at level 2A. Well, I would just say hello to people. That's what I do. The easiest thing you can do is just find something to say. Like, I was at a Japanese convenience store, a 7-Eleven yesterday, and I was just getting a little yogurt drink, and there was some other guy, he just got a beer, and I was like, sore oishii ne. You know, I just like said, oh, that's like a delicious beer or whatever. And he was like, yeah, you know. And so there are lots of times where I will just say things to random people to get conversations started and just to keep my confidence up, because I like being able to speak, and just saying hello to people is just fine. So sometimes you might get a longer conversation out of that. Often you will not, but sometimes you do. But if you say hello to more people, or you notice something, like I was like, oh, like we're both, you know, going into the same refrigerator section, and we were both like, you know, able to find the, like, you know, he wanted his drink, I wanted my drink, but I was just using that as an opportunity to connect with that person, even if I never meet him again or speak with him again or whatever. But often those are the things that begin conversations. And so I've had conversations, started conversations with lots of people that way. I think I told a story this time. I'll tell the story again just because I like telling this story. It's a pretty funny story. This was at a Starbucks here in Nagasaki, and it was early in the morning, and I go there. I used to go there more frequently. I don't really go so much anymore, so I'm sitting in my usual chair when I go there, because I get there, I'm one of the first customers in the morning, and they have some chairs around. This is at the downtown Yume Saito one, if anybody knows Nagasaki. Anyway, there's a plant in the middle of this table, and there's a window right here. It's nice, bright, nice place, and often I will sit in this chair right here. But on this day when I came, there was already a couple sitting here and here. So the wife was sitting here and the husband was sitting over here. And I thought, oh no, I really want to sit in my seat. So I was excited. I wanted to bring my book and sit and have a coffee, and you know, I like my habit. You know, I'm gonna just go and relax and sit there and read. But I felt kind of bad if I go sit over here. Then we have this guy and his wife here, and both of them are foreigners. So they're from America, I guessed, just looking at them, like how they're dressed and how they look. So it's a guy and his wife, and I thought if I just go and sit next to this guy's wife, that's a little bit weird. You know, if you're like sitting with your girlfriend or something, and another guy just comes and sits down, that's just kind of odd, right? So I get my drink and I walk over here, and I said to them, just to start the conversation and to make it seem like I'm not being weird or anything, I said, they're making us sit together. They're making us sit together. So I was implying or meaning that like the staff of Starbucks are making all the foreigners sit in one place. So I said, I was kind of like it was a secret or whatever. I said, they're making us all sit together. And the lady looked at her husband like, oh, really? They're actually doing that? And I said, no, this is my just usual seat, so pardon me. But because I started the conversation that way, I talked with them for about an hour. It was a nice conversation, and they were asking me questions about Nagasaki, but that's how you start things. So even if you don't have a long conversation with everybody, just start saying hello or notice something about different people as you're speaking with, or whatever it is in your everyday life. But that's how I would do it. So even if you don't know so much, you can still, again, say hello or compliment like, oh, that's a nice shirt or whatever. Just, notice something like that. Mona says hello, and ASMR Arabi says thank you. Healthy Life. How much is the correlation between reading speed and fluency in speaking? Or should we focus on listening and imitation what we listen to in English? Well, I mean, I wouldn't say there's much of a correlation at all between reading speed and fluency, because reading is a skill that you develop independently of being able to speak. So lots of people are good speakers, but they are illiterate, so they can't read anything. So that has no connection there. But reading, if you know how to read, and I'm sure most people watching this know how to read, but if you know how to read, that's another good way to get aha moments and understand the language better. So in Fluent for Life, the program that I have for people who know a lot of English but still struggle to speak, the idea there is we want to give you things you can listen to and do some reading and watch and understand. So lots of different ways that you're getting this input. So again, people think that they have to learn in a particular way, like I have to spend my time imitating certain speakers, or I have to memorize lots of vocabulary or whatever. The only real question for fluency is, does it erase your doubt or not? So if I'm doing something like just repeating after somebody, trying to imitate somebody else, excuse me, if I don't understand the language better, I'm not going to be a more fluent speaker, because I'll still feel unsure and unconfident when I speak. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you do. Some people like to listen, some people like to watch, some people like to read. Like, none of that really matters. So the important thing is, does the thing you're doing actually make you more confident? Because it helps you understand the language better. So the whole point of Fluent for Life is to make you understand the language, just like we're doing in these videos here. So I really want to make sure people understand, like I take a word, whatever, and give you different examples of it to really help you understand that thing. But again, the purpose is not just to have you repeat after me. Like, I don't do like listen and repeat exercises. You can try to copy me or mimic the way I speak. But if you really want to have a good conversation with people, you need lots of examples of different speech from different speakers, and you really need to understand that vocabulary very well. So try to ignore like advice about like doing things in a particular way. It's more about, do you understand the vocabulary without a doubt or not? So it's the same thing for me when I'm speaking Japanese. Like, if I don't understand something well, I'm probably not going to use that thing, or I might express something in a different way. So what native speakers do, or fluent speakers even, is they want to say something, and there are many ways to express that. And so they pick usually like what they feel is the best fit or the easiest thing to say. But non-natives or people who are not fluent, they are usually stuck with one thing to say because they just learned a translation or a definition of that thing, and then it becomes more difficult for them to speak. So if you forget the one thing you learned, then the conversation ends. But if you know many ways to express things and you can easily move and flow with the conversation, then you will speak fluently. All right, let's see. Julian says, are you talking to somebody else? How many times do you live there? How many times? You mean how long? I've been in Japan for on and off about 20 years, I guess. And so often people will say, oh, well, Drew speaks Japanese because he lives in Japan. But I know plenty of foreigners who have lived in Japan longer than I have, and they still can't speak Japanese at all. Okay, so they might know a little bit, but yeah, living in Japan doesn't make you a good Japanese speaker. The whole point is how you learn. Do you get those aha moments, or do you do not? Like, do you or do you not? That's the whole idea. So it's a very simple thing for, you don't need any like formula or whatever for fluency. It's just, do you understand something or do you not? And when I say understand, it's like, do you really know it without a doubt? Would you feel confident saying that thing or not? And it's typically it's like a click that happens in your brain. That's why I talk about there being a little fluent communication switch in your brain. But when you're learning and you understand something well, that's when you can use it. All right, I'll download this lesson later. All right, CNBC says, I couldn't agree more with what you say, because when you have more ways to say something, it's easier to think fast. Yeah, Exactly. So in your native language, you probably have no issue talking about things. You might want to say something, but 10 different people could describe the same situation in different ways. And you could describe the same situation in different ways also. So there's not just one way to say something. And as you get more fluent, you learn to use those different examples. Hilda says hello, everyone. Ethan says hello also. Nelson, lots of hellos over here. Mustafa says hello. What's your take on learning different accents of English, or what is called world Englishes? Well, certainly, yeah, this is what we do in Fluent for Life. So if you only listen to me, you will not be prepared for all of the various other people who speak English. And many people speak English who are non-native. And a lot of them are really good speakers. But again, like if you're not prepared for other accents and you only listen to slow, easy, clear teachers, then it's going to be more difficult for you to feel confident if you're watching movies or in a conversation with someone who has an unfamiliar accent. Love again today. I got to know how it was after watching your picture. Otherwise, last time I imagined something else in my mind, the scenario of the sitting arrangement in your story. Yeah, and again, like I give this just to make the explanation a little bit easier for people, but it doesn't really matter. You know, just I'm sitting next to some people. How do you say how's it going in Japanese? It depends. It's like doda. Genki, you know, I could say like saikin do, you know, they're different. Again, it's not like there's like, how's it going? Like there's one way to say it. It just depends on the situation. And so, like, I might see someone after a while, it's like, hey, like sashiburi ne genki, you know, like, it's been a long time since I've seen you. How are you doing? You know, how is life, whatever, that kind of thing. So again, try to think about the situation and learn the various vocabulary you might use for that. All right, hi, I'm back here in 2 years. Do you mean like 2 years since before, or it's been 2 years or something? Anyway, let's do the last example from the Cat in the Hat book we'll do here. Well, I don't need that anyway. But this example, let me erase the board first. There we go. This example is the word about. About. This is another word, just like all and like, that you probably know, but I really want to make sure you understand it more like a native. So more like a native, like a native. All right, so let's read this page over here. But, make sure you can see that. But our fish said no, no. Make that cat go away. Tell that cat in the hat you do not want to play. He should not be here. He should not be about. He should not be here when your mother is out. So he should not be about. He should not be about. He should not be about. What does that mean? He should not be about. In this situation, we're talking about kind of in a general area. Like, he should not be around or around here. You can say both of those. Like, he should not be about, he should not be around, he should not be around here, he should not be here. He should not be in this place. But we need something that rhymes, so we have rhymes like about with when your mother is out. So he should not be about, he should not be over here. So you probably know the word like, what is this video or what is this book about? What is the point? What is the idea? What is it about? But we can also have the idea of about, like around in a general area. So there might be on the news, they talk about like there are some criminals like walking around about this area. Like there's some crime around here, some criminals or people doing some bad things about, like some bad people about, some ill people about, some bad people around this area, some people around here, okay? So again, about, we can be talking about like a physical place or around a general area. But we can also be talking like about like what is the subject or what are we talking about, kind of the general idea. Okay, so what is it about? All right, so we have a kind of similar idea for something being about something else, like today's lesson is about being able to speak faster, and you're able to do that by learning words and understanding them better. So if you erase the doubts that stop you from speaking, you will speak faster. It's like it has to happen. It must happen. If you're not feeling stuck, then you will speak faster, guaranteed. Okay? So one example of about from the story, we'll look at another one. And this is more like the first example of this. Should we tell her about it? So the cat in the hat, this is the end of the story. The cat in the hat leaves. I didn't go through the whole book because that would take too much time, but the children are now sitting back here, and after they had a big fun adventure and the cat in the hat caused lots of trouble and broke things in the house, now everything is all cleaned up and mom comes back. And so they're talking to each other. Should we explain to Mama what happened today? Should we tell her about it? Now, what should we do? Well, what would you do if your mother asked you? So these two children are home by themselves while their mother is out and the cat in the hat comes over. It's kind of a dangerous story when you think about it. I don't know how he got into the house. But anyway, when mother comes back, should they tell her what happened today? So the example, should we tell her? So should we tell her about it? Should we tell her about it? So we got, again, this example of about over here, like what is the idea, the general thing that's happening. So if I tell you about something, I might not tell you everything. I'm telling you kind of generally. You can imagine it's almost like a kind of non-specific. There's probably some kind of, inside or important information or outside or not important information. But this is how we're using the word about. And so we're using it in related ways here, even though it's two different meanings or two different uses of the word. So you can see how it's kind of like some bad people are about. We don't know exactly where they are. It's kind of a general feeling. They are about here. They are around here somewhere, if we're using it in a physical sense. You can imagine this like a physical place, like around a neighborhood or something. And we can also think about, what is the story about? Well, the story is about a cat in the hat. The story is about two kids who are home and they don't have anything to do because it's a rainy day. Or the story is about a cat that comes and starts playing with some kids at home. So there are some different ways I might talk about the story. Again, it's kind of a general idea rather than like this is a specific thing I need to tell exactly or specifically what something is. So I'm just talking about someone. So maybe I'm talking about a book or I'm describing a person. So a friend says, I want to introduce you to this nice young lady that I know. And I say, tell me about her. So I don't say, tell me like everything exactly, like I want to know what she looks like and what she does and like tell me all of that. I just say, tell me about her. So it's kind of a general thing. Maybe there could be different things you talk about, but it's about. All right. So the point is not to learn the word about through a translation or a definition. It's to get different uses of the word to really understand what it means. And as you get more examples, more uses of something, you will feel more confident because the doubt disappears. Okay. That's how you get fluent. All right. So again, when people ask me like, what should I do to get fluent, Drew? Should I read a book? Should I watch a movie? Should I do whatever? Whatever you're doing, if it's not getting you fluent because you don't understand it better, you should probably not do that thing. But if you really want to understand the language better, then you need to make sure you're understanding and eliminating any doubt you have. So if you're unsure about pronunciation or you're nervous about a grammar point or whatever, that is the specific doubt that you can solve. You can erase that doubt usually by getting more examples of things. So repetition, more translations, that's probably not going to help you use things fluently. But if you can understand it all in English, then you will be able to use the language fluently. All right, so that's it for the cat in the hat, but hopefully this video has made the point that the idea is not knowing a whole bunch of vocabulary, it's knowing the vocabulary well. Dr. Seuss, he took 236 words and made a story that's loved by millions of people. And it's like a good story. It's an entertaining story about what happens to some kids when their mother is out and a cat in the hat comes over to their house and starts causing some trouble. But so this was a book designed to get people, wanting to read, especially more kids, and hopefully people get the idea. So when people say, I can't speak fluently because I don't know enough words, usually I would say, well, if you understand my videos, you already know enough. You probably just don't know those words without a doubt. All right, so that's what we're going for here. So if you can eliminate any doubt you have about how you're learning, that's how you're really going to get fluent much faster. All right. I think who is that asked about more information about Fluent for Life. So the two core programs I have that focus on eliminating doubt are Fluent for Life and Frederick. You can click on the links in the description of this video for both of those programs. But the idea is just helping you understand the language like a native so that you use it fluently. If I can give you aha moments of understanding where you think, oh, like, I got it. Now I understand how something works. That feeling is what allows you to speak. So, like I mentioned before, there's lots of things that you could do to learn. You could read a book, you could watch the news, you could listen to podcasts, you could watch movies or whatever. All of these things can help you, and they do. But the thing that we're really looking for when we watch a movie or listen to something is we're looking for aha moments of understanding where we think, now I got it. So you hear maybe a new usage of a word that you already know and you feel more confident about using. Now I got it. And you know that. Everybody has probably had those experiences, not just for learning languages, but when you solve a puzzle or you realize something, you think, oh, wow, you just discover something like that. And so often what happens with typical lessons or the typical things people might do is they might spend 2 hours watching a movie but not really feel more confident about their vocabulary. So there's lots of new information coming in a movie, or you might have characters with accents that you don't understand or whatever. But there could be lots of things that are actually causing you more doubt instead of erasing that doubt. So what we try to do, like in these videos and especially in Fluent for Life, is find these aha moments and give them to you systematically as quickly as possible. Because when you can get those doubts solved, okay, now I finally understand this grammar point. I understand this pronunciation. I understand this. But instead of waiting, we want to give you like a lot of them very quickly. So that's the idea. Fluent for Life will give you those. If you don't know how to get fluent, it gives you like the complete roadmap to developing fluency. And as you learn more, it will help you understand more new things to talk even faster and more confidently and more fluently. Frederick is an app that will let you basically teach yourself the language. It will let you give yourself lots of aha moments, because that's really the highest level you can get of speed and being able to develop fluency in something. Because if you don't need to wait for a teacher, then you can just learn as quickly as possible simply by playing with the language. So that's why I built that program. But both of those things will help you speak better. And so if you'd like to learn more about those, you can click on the links in the description to learn about that. I'll check chat again. If anybody has any last questions about the programs or anything else, let me know. And then we should be able to end it from there. Let's see. I'm Korean. It's hard for phrasal verb. Do I have to memorize all of them? No, don't think about memorizing vocabulary. Just search our channel right here on YouTube for phrasal verbs. The best way to learn them is to see them in action and then also learn the more figurative uses of that. And it's easier, rather than me just telling you that, just watch some examples. So if you search our channel for phrasal verbs, we have a whole program about this, the visual guide to phrasal verbs, that's included in Fluent for Life. But you can also find more examples of things right here on our YouTube channel. So don't worry about trying to memorize vocabulary. The point is not memorizing, it's to understand it. You really want to have those aha moments like, now I get it. Like, I was explaining to my wife, like, the difference between fall down and fall over. So even looking at this, just a simple physical example can show you, like, the marker is falling down. It's just something moving straight down like that, like fall down, fall down, fall down. But something like this, fall over, fall over. So something falling to the side, those are both phrasal verbs. We've got fall down and fall over. Bridget says, what is the meaning of figurative? So figurative, typically we have, like usually in my lessons, I try to give you a physical example of something like that. So a physical example is like falling down, to fall down. You can see it happening. It's a physical example. But a figurative one is where we try to take an example and use it in a different way. Like the popularity is like falling down, or the price of a program or something like that is falling down. So those are examples where you can't see it really, but you can understand what it means. It's figurative. Okay, so I'm just using a kind of analogy or helping you understand something that's not a physical example, but we can take those and use them in more interesting ways. So we can talk about like a person physically going down a mountain like this, like they're actually walking down, they're physically moving down, and you can see that happening. But maybe the like a company or something like that is going down, which means they're like maybe doing worse financially or something like that. But you can talk about those things. One is a physical example you can see, and the other is a figurative example, figurative. So it's good to learn both of those, but often people get confused because they try to learn or they just get a figurative example first, and they don't have that foundation of other examples that help them understand it better before that. Oh. All right. Let me see any final questions here. Let's see. So Adnan says, when I try to speak, I struggle to find the words. Yeah. So it's again that all those problems that people have, like struggling to speak, not being able to find words, those are all from the same problem of not knowing words without a doubt. That's it. So there's really just one simple thing you can do to improve, and that's what we do in Fluent for Life, and really every program, every video I have here on YouTube is the same idea. All right, Ramadan Mubarak, dear teacher, this is me, Saeed. It has been a while since I catch you alive, and I'm happy that I did. It is now 1:46 a.m. Oh my goodness. All right, good night, says Bridget, and Rommel says, hello, Adrian. What about you? Yes, if we're talking about like using the word about. Mal Guarzetta says, hello, thanks for the video. Asked about. Yeah, it's kind of like a way of blending that together. And Mifo Cat says, what about soap operas, or how about soap operas? Yeah, watch whatever you like. I've been falling down on the job, says love. So please leave a like. Yes, I appreciate that, says Ezekias, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have a question. How do I stop translating? You stop translating by learning everything in English. If you're learning, I'm guessing your native language is Spanish, perhaps. If you're learning everything through Spanish, then you will think and translate through Spanish when you speak. But if you learn in English, you will speak in English. All right, it's pretty simple. But again, that's the idea. So you notice all of my videos, it's all teaching, it's all in English. Same thing with Frederick, like we teach you English all in English. If you have children, especially give them Frederick and they will teach themselves English without needing to go through translations or typical schools, that kind of thing. But they will learn all by themselves in that way, just by using the system. So we want to really, especially start kids out with this new way of learning where you can connect directly with the language rather than needing any translations to do it. All right, but if pretty much every problem people have are solved, or every problem is solved by the various, like just examples, getting more examples that help you understand things, and that's how you speak. So when you really understand things well, you will communicate much more fluently. Eunice says, is the use of the word very before a noun in formal or informal? Like what? Like very before a noun? Like very, I don't know, what would be an example of that? A very before a noun. I don't know. But again, like when people ask me questions like that, it's more like it seems like kind of like an odd thing, like you were thinking more about rules rather than just seeing, Yeah, the very moment everything collapsed. Yeah, that's not like, yeah, I see how you're using it in that way. Yeah. So like it's not a formal or informal thing, and you would get a sense for that if you got many examples. So I could be in a professional setting and using the same thing. I could say like this is like the very moment for us to launch a new product or something. It's the same way we would add at all, something like that. Yeah, you could say very pregnant. Yeah, kind of. That's not a noun, but yeah, but we could describe it in that way. All right, Tsubasa gave me a medal. Thank you very much. 大好きですよ. Oh, it's number one. There we go. Well, thank you all. Hopefully you have enjoyed this. If you have, do click the like button. Do tell your friends and family and everybody. Say, hey, go watch this guy. His videos are helpful. I think one of the reasons my videos don't get shown to a lot of people is because I turned off ads on them a while ago. So if you don't notice ads on the channel, it's because I turned them off. So I'm really trying to get people fluent as quickly as possible, and I don't even like you waiting for ads. So I turn those off. So to help support me, if you'd like to join my programs and welcome yourself into fluency and become a much more confident speaker, all the hard work I do here, we do even more in the actual program. So that everything is already laid out for you if you'd like to become a more confident speaker. So just click on the links in the description below this video to learn more about how to do that. And that will be the end of this video. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.